Hello, beautiful and amazing people. Welcome to yet another episode of Space Yako, the podcast. With you today is Gladwell and my fellow co-hosts, and definitely our guest, as you can see. So, Merlyne, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Merlyne.
Naitwa Shiko. At this point, hata tufai kuwa tunasema majina. Mimi nitakuwa sisemi tena.
Majina yetu hayajabadilika, si ndio? So on set today is our guest, and she is a clinical psychologist. Wakona offices, akona office yake based pale Hurlingham ama Upper Hill, but sita explain sana. Let's give her an opportunity aweze kujintroduce so that we can know where we can find her. Welcome. How are you feeling today?
I'm actually so fine right now. I'm Juliet Muthoni is my second name. I'm a clinical psychologist. My office, as you've said, the adult one is at Hurlingham. It's just, and the one for children is at Upper Hill. Just specifying.
So children between which age?
3 years to 18. I see them at Upper Hill. Then adults, that is 18 plus, I see them at Hurlingham.
Wow. You share a name with my mother.
Nice.
Muthoni?
Yes.
You feel like you have your mom on set?
Yes.
So me, she's here speaking about children, 3 years, and I'm like, kuna mtoto wa 3 years anaenda kuona psychologist.
Can you imagine?
Backgrounds really affects.
It's just that the way you'll talk to a child is different from how you'll talk to a grown-up. Like they expect, most people expect that when you're having a session with a child, you need to get feedback and all that. But for us, it's more of observation. You engage them in play activities, art, and I can tell, probably this child has this and this problem. And then we have diverse issues like trauma.
Yeah.
We have
So
other
you're not
issues
that
like
adult dealing with childhood traumas, right? Yes.
Like healing the inner child.
Yeah.
So on our podcast, Juliet, we have a segment called Space Pies. And on Space Pies, what we basically do is like we mention fun facts about reproductive health, and now that we are talking about consent, we'll just like maybe to mention or to re-emphasize something that people might not know about consent that is really true. And today I'll read our Space Pies.
Matuapi is Space Pies.
Plug. Me paid me. So it's like, this is from plannedparenthood.org, and it says, you are allowed to say stop at any time, and your partner needs to respect that. Consent is never implied by the things like your past behavior, what you wear or where you go. Sexual consent is always clearly communicated. There should be no question or mystery about the choice that someone makes. And silence is not consent. So in case you didn't know, ukishika mtu mahali na amenyamaza, don't assume they're allowing you that they're saying yes.
Alrighty. So allow me to officially introduce our topic of the day. Leo tutakuwa tunaongea kuhusu consent, and we have our clinical psychologist with us, Juliet Muthoni. Okay? Kwa hivyo anything that ambayo ungependa kuuliza, please make sure you do that across our socials, okay? Hashtag ambao unatumia ni space yako the podcast. Unatupata across our socials as well. wazi.ke na pale katika website kama pia uko na maswali, probably you're feeling shy and everything else, this is a chatbot. Nenda tu useme hi alafu uandike, just proceed with whatever questions that you have pale kwa website, which is wazi.ke, that is wazzi.ke, okay? Na kwa website pia kuna WhatsApp number, and kama unaona by the way technology siwezi, there is a USSD code that is *709#, and yes, you get the same services. All right. Kwa hivyo consent ni nini? Tusianze na teacher. Okay, kwa hivyo kabla tujaenda any further, I think tunafaa si wenyewe tuseme consent ni nini, sawa? And you can start, Juliet.
Of course.
Because you're the expert here, so it has to be us.
Sawa.
Main turns.
Okay.
Me, teacher. You, yes.
You go ahead.
So, consent is permission. Ni kama say niwaambie is how niko na plan kesho niko na form. Then Merlyne says, no, me I can't make it. Juliet says, I'm not sure about it. But then Gladwell is like, mimi niko down. Sawa.
Yeah.
So that is consent. And we can still be together hanging out with Gladwell. And at some point she's like, I'm bored, I want to go home. That is still consent. So according to me.
Okay.
Hata mimi, consent for me, I think nitatumia tu Kiswahili hapo. But more or less wasema the same thing. Consent ni hiyo tu ruhusa. Umepatia mtu. Like, basically that. Justaki kushinda nime echo whatever Aisha has said. Because I'm a nail. Hit the nail on the head. That's what she's done.
Umenikopi.
Nimekukopi.
Okay. Consent kwangu ni kusema sidai nadai. It's like giving you tea. You might be hungry, but that is not what you prefer.
Okay.
It's like giving you a cake. That is what you want, but I bring it. It's not to your flavor. You take it. You return it back to me. So it's like, let us sidai.
Actually, if I was seated on another avenue, I would think you guys are the experts because you just
really?
hit it right.
Bruh, si basi uende home. Itabidi umeishia home. Cheki, in this episode, we don't need an expert. No, it's okay.
However, there's always a but.
Okay.
But anyways, it's more or less of permission, but it's more of agreement.
Nice.
That I'm okay doing this up to this point. I'm okay not doing this and all that. And I, as the person being told, I'm also okay retrieving. Let me give an example. You have a friend, Ama, Gladwell amekuja kukuvisit kwako, sindo? And then venye tu amefika, umwambia, unataka spaghetti? And then she's like,
Ata sijuka.
sijui, ata sijui nini.
Nimekula.
I know.
Hey, but wageni udanganya. What? That's a bad example, Juliet, because wageni ati nikupate. Anaangalia hivi kando, anaangalia anajifanya, alafu anachukua.
Now, let me tell you where this is going.
Yeah.
Now, you get into your kitchen, make spaghetti, nyama, kidogo kidogo pale, kuna donuts and all that. Then you bring them on the table.
Okay.
So now, kuna harufu sasa. At least hiyo time yenye alikuwa amekana, amengoja, remember, this person has taken some time to prepare that meal. So amengoja. So hiyo time ni enough ya mtu kufikiria, but do I still want to eat this spaghetti or not? Saizi pia kuna harufu ina come through. Do I still want to take this spaghetti or not? So it's on the table. What do you do normally? Would you,
food kwanza.
in terms of
If you'll take it or
you're
not.
the host,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
would you give the person to it and like be like kula hii?
No. You are. Oh, no, karibu pakua.
You
Right?
set the table.
Yes.
So what happens if this person doesn't want to eat?
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So now that's more or less like what consent is about. You'll make that meal, or you'll ask someone because you want to do something. You want to hug this person. You want to, or probably kiss them. You want to date them. Anything like that. But then, before you do that, you need to understand: is this person comfortable? Are we on the same page? Are you okay doing this?
Yeah.
You know, not just assuming, just because we are friends, or just because I can see some vibes, I'm tweaking, you know, and all that. So now we can do this. That is what you want. You want to serve your guests that spaghetti or that meat. But do they want to?
Oh, that's meat, sana.
Yeah, exactly. This meat. But then there's now beyond that, where now you've already cooked that meat and you want them to eat and ask them. But then they are not okay with it. Do you now force them to take it? Or now do you tell them, unasikia sasa spaghetti inanukia vizuri, hii nyama inakaa poa, so sasa wacha tukule, what? Will you now keep on telling them, you have to eat this spaghetti until now they agree?
Ooh, in this economy, no?
No, that's another story.
Right.
So that is what consent is about. Just because they are like giving you the signals and they have probably told you the maybe or yes, consent doesn't mean that now you start, because they did not tell you a direct yes, it doesn't mean you start manipulating them or coercing them into, you have this kamonya over there, I would like to know nikikukisi itakuwa aje. You know, now...
Wait. Yeah. times you say that? Like, is that what guys tell you?
I've gotten that 1, 2, 3
gotten
times.
that
For real?
But you'll be like, really? Because you're like, out of all the lines, surely.
Yeah.
Wait,
Wanashusha point.
kwani madem wako na gap like Juliet? Kwani is the kissing different? Is it different?
So now hapo nini your tongue?
Eh?
No, I just say that. But I would also like to ask.
Wait, is it different?
Nipate kando.
Nyuma ya 10.
Friday.
Can I tell you something? Okay, I'm going to really compare you to my mother. You have no idea. My mom also has a tooth gap.
Oh.
And she has dimples.
Muthoni.
That woman is
Maybe I'm her
beautiful.
daughter. And you are.
Nyuma ya 10.
Uchunguze,
Nyuma ya
uchunguze.
shida. Nyuma ya 10.
In the context of like sex, you told me come with Netflix and chill. There was no conversation around
The chill.
Yeah, like the chill was not defined.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, chilling is me coming in my comfortable pajamas, you bringing popcorns, we eat, we watch whatever we're watching, and then
Sleep or cuddle.
yeah.
Nairobi
actually,
moja.
niende
Nairobi
Yeah,
moja.
niende home. Yeah.
Nairobi moja.
Yeah,
But okay.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to tell people, that those things can actually happen
Yeah.
if people have these conversations.
Yes.
But then we didn't talk about what will happen.
Yeah.
And now I'm here and you have expectations that the way you're saying, like Nairobi ni moja, in the end of the day, hii lazima ifanyike. Nilipe fare alafu akose kunipe aje.
Aje.
You know,
Sleepover.
Ta-dam! And your clothes are supposed to be off immediately.
hata before episode 1
Ta-dam! This is an episode.
Hiyo tudunia Netflix.
Yeah. So like that in context, that people might have expectations because they did you a favor, which is some sort of manipulation.
It is.
And you feel like, no. This is not what we talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's this one thing that I think most people don't know. There's verbal and there's non-verbal consent.
I agree. You remember the last episode, and our first episode ever?
Yeah.
Niliwauliza,
Tulisema.
and they're like, no, it has to be a verbal. No, it has to be. Imagine tunakuanga pia na non-verbal. I'm very glad you brought it up.
Aye.
I just want to hear what she'll say because you're non-verbal. I have a question around
About
that, but-
non-verbal?
Yeah,
Okay.
just go on.
You know, the same way you can't force someone to eat food.
Yeah.
It's the same way you can't force someone to kiss
Have
you.
sex. Or
You
to
know,
kiss you.
you know the way you sijui ka tukiwa high school, sijui ka unaweza kumbuka hiyo period. Ndio come home and then kuna hii trend, sijui there's this guy who has come with your brothers and all that, and then mnasalimiana, and then because it's the trend, sawa, let's hug. Sikujui, but uko like, wow, hi, how are you? Hata bado sijakujua, you don't know kama huwa na shake hands, kama huwa na hug mtu,
Yeah.
you know. And I think the reason why people don't find consent to be so important, or they don't, hawaichukui na uzito, is because they can't relate to what it means. Like wanaona sex, na like something like another thing is different, but they're totally the same way. The same way sita kuforce ukule your spaghetti. You know, it actually sikubaya, but it actually looks stupid. Ninakwambia ati shika hii spaghetti, kula. You know, it's the same way with like anything to do with
Touching,
sex, and sex
kissing,
comes from the point of tuanzie nimekushika inappropriately, ama nimekuhislia, ama nimekuita sijui aje. Iyo, from the word go kwenda hivyo. The same way you won't force someone to eat food is the same way you won't force someone to do things that they don't like. And it's the same way you won't like coerce them. And that's why now I was talking about verbal and non-verbal.
Yeah.
You're the guy or you're the girl, and you're on this other side. Nimeona a certain guy, and I'm like, oh, nimeona ananiwinkia, so it means ananifeel. Oh, ameninulia kiti, amenisongesha nini mbele. So now I think there has to be a connection. So what do? After we're done, or we get a chance, nitaenda nimguze maybe kwa mkono nimwambie, you know, like I'm giving you cues.
Yeah.
But probably that person is not even okay.
Kuna shida ya macho.
Ama kitu imeingia kwa it's dust.
So,
Right?
so yeah, exactly. Hapo sasa ndio non-verbal na verbal cues zinakuja.
Yeah.
Not that ati nimesmile sasa I'm okay with it. Hiyo ni kukupea ka pointer. But now, just because it's a pointer, now communicate and ask, are you okay if I hug you?
Yeah.
Macho
No,
zako ziko
that's
sawa.
now verbal consent.
Yeah. So
Lakini
how efficient do you think non-verbal forms of consent nisaidia like watu? Niko like sometimes unajua non-verbal na feeling ka non-verbal inapaswa kwa mixed signal na mixed signal ina translate to a no. I prefer, this is me, like kama ni consent ikwe just verbal, mtu anakuambia no inakuwa an express no, ama if it's a yes anakuambia expressly yes. Juu vitu non-verbal mtu anaweza misinterpret. I don't know, like kwangu non-verbal ni kama a body language or something. Unasa venye unaweza sema maybe Aisha akona a very pretty smile, so she's smiling at you, so it means ako inviting, unaweza enda maybe umuongelesha mumhug. Maybe hata ni mtu hata apendi like kushikwa, no unaenda kumhug sasa juu umeona oh she is smiling at me, it means anani invite for probably a more conversation, so umeenda umejipeleka kwake. But probably she was just trying to huyu mtu ameniangalia, I just want to be polite, let me just quickly smile at her, alafu ishe. Sa akasmile na uka misconstrue whatever ame like depict na facial expressions zake. So nataka kujua how efficient are those non-verbal kinds of like consent.
Before that, we interrupt this program to
Okay.
bring you a commercial break, which is Aisha's smile.
Okay.
Please carry on.
Yeah.
even before
Interesting.
Juliet, you get to respond to that. I think I'll just ask something in relation to the non-verbal. Because, like, non-verbal consent, like she said, creates mixed signals.
Yeah.
And I remember also on our first episode, I asked, because babu kuna watu, if I have anxiety and I'm in trouble and I have to explain something, trust me, I'll smile, I'll be a mess. And it's like, I am in this guy's house. Ni saa sita ya usiku. I'll still use the concept of Netflix and chill. Like, huyu mtu ameanza kunishika. I'm like, I can't scream. Probably ako kwa mansion somewhere. He anikissed, you know? And it's not like he asked me. Anikissed and then I kissed them back. That is some sort of response. I'm giving him response. He anishike nguo. Alafu because I feel so helpless, I can't say no, yes. Maybe this person is even a nice person and is open to hearing yes or a no. Or like, no, I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
But now, just because I can't say no or yes, I'm giving him responses that I'm not sure of. I start shaking. He's touching me.
Smiling.
I start smiling because I'm just anxious. Do you really feel like non-verbal consent really works like that much?
Non-verbal is supposed to guide you. It's not like now because I've smiled, I've told you I'm okay. It's supposed to be a guide to this person is not okay. Let me ask them, can I hug you?
Yeah.
You get it? A non-verbal cue, you see, actually, what you've done in psychology, we call it reaction formation. Reaction formation is when sasa, venye umesema, instead of nimekukasirikia lakini justaki kukuonyesha tuko na beef, I'll be like you know. Yeah, so we call it reaction formation in our terms, yeah.
Okay.
So those things, they're not ati juu nimekuambia I'm okay by smiling, haimaanishi ati now I've given you the consent.
Yeah.
It's supposed to guide you to know, is this a place yenye nafaa niulize? For example, I'll get deeper. Kuna hii submissive versus dominant type. Yeah. You've met a guy or a girl who's into those things. No. Alafu mdogo, and you're dating. Wacha niseme you're not dating.
Sawa.
You're dating or in a relationship?
Yeah, you're in a relation. By the way, kuna difference.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, you're not funny, excuse me. But you, or probably you.
It's your person. Ni mpoa wako.
Very fine.
Permanent.
Mpoa ni wa kila mtu.
Yes. Yeah, and kuna hiyo mnajuanga like, as we okay to sex and hizo vitu zote. So, sex is not an issue.
Yeah.
Until now, this is 1 day, 2 days, 3 days there. Maybe I'm experienced something out there from a side chick or something,
So
but I'm not
cheats.
advocating. Yeah, amekuja na styles zingine, and you're like, oh my goodness. So, amekuja, so yeye ni dominant, what, na utoto fimbo and all that.
Oh, that's BDSM.
Yeah, into BDSM.
But dominance doesn't really involve BDSM. It's not always.
Yeah, it's not
There is
always.
a thin
But I'm
line.
taking that
In that
route.
direction.
Yeah, BDSM. Yeah, choke me daddy.
Exactly.
Okay.
So menza process, and it's okay. But you're feeling some pleasure, and it's good for you. But then afanya something, maybe you're whippy and way beyond the campaign, and you're like, no.
You're in punishment.
That's a non-verbal
Not pleasure.
consent of like, it can be negative or positive. Consent kama ni positive, itakuwa,
Yeah.
But if it's negative, itakuwa, That's like now a guide for you to ask the person, are you comfortable doing this? You get it? Non-verbal consents, ziko na positives na ziko na negatives.
Yeah.
Positives is that you actually agree, let's continue. And if you feel that hauko in a position, let's now talk about it. But negative, the moment umeona mtu maybe probably ameweka something that you're not even sure, because this time round, I'm not only talking about the person who's on the other side of giving consent.
Yeah.
I'm also talking about this other side of asking. Because most times we think that it's the guy who should ask for consent, it's the sijui nini. But hata we mwenyewe on this other side, you don't know if that guy anataka, labda he's not into you. You know. So ask. That's why sasa ndio nasema kuna positive, kuna negative. But beyond that, non-verbal consent doesn't mean this person has agreed fully. It's just a guide. A guide to now ask you or give you a leeway to say, Then the other thing you have to remember, for someone to be in that position yenye hasemi, there has to be something underlying. Just like when you umesema, umeenda into that room, ni nini naingia kwa akili yako? Because she's like...
You're having flashbacks on set.
Alimaanisha no.
So, like venye alikuwa anasema, umeenda, maybe this person is okay to talking, but we unataka kumake impression. Unaona? So unapata, there are so many things zinakufanya usi consent, ama usiambie mtu, directly, I don't want.
Yeah.
And people think it's because mtu ako na low self-esteem. But sometimes it's more to that. Sometimes it's ego, hautaki kuonekana haujui. Unaona? Ama it's a challenge. Unataka, I am beyond this, Sometimes it's more of like people-pleasing behavior.
Yes.
Now, you see, when you asked me, watoto wanaweza kuwa na shida, people-pleasing is not mtu ameamka anataka kukuwa people-pleaser. It's because amepitia a childhood that always lazima ange seek validation from the parent. You're on the right track, you're doing the right thing. So unapata, even in a relationship, mtu hajui kukuambia no. Ako zile za, maybe, So there's so many things. It's actually way beyond low self-esteem for someone afike your point. And that's why, at the end of the day, we are here telling ourselves, ask that, consent, uliza, have we agreed? Akifika your point, unaona, mimi mwenyewe siwezi, speak it out. If you feel you can't, now seek me, the therapist.
So now, do you feel, according to the explanation of moment what Ivy saying, I feel like there are so many signs in nonverbal consent that we choose to ignore.
Yeah.
Sindio? Like unassume tu iko sawa. Like guys, do you remember like when we were younger, a guy anakusalimia alafu anakufanya hivi?
Ama akikusalimia hapa hivi.
What the... Yani, hiyo ilikuwa nini please? The ghetto anakufanyia hivi. Like recently, even in my big age, kuna mtu alifanya hivyo recently. Like this year, I'm like, huh?
People do that until now.
Yeah, hivi, like to me nati now, sijui ati we'll have sex. Ama ilikuwa nini?
It had meaning.
Hivi, like, yeah. So, I will stretch your hand. I will give me your hand, Muthoni, and then I do this. I think in your kuchi.
I think on a joke, on a meaning.
Same
I just
idea.
knew
Oh, so
that person
from
is
Nasalimia.
interested or
Yes,
something, but it's so
Because
irritating.
you see, able just stretch out your hand. See hivi sasa hivi sasa.
I'm like small, like
Yeah.
I'm a chick and then I go, you know.
This one is the one that I know is
Mimi the one that
sexual.
I know ni ile tu like unasalimia mtu then kuna tu that lingering kind of nini amekushikilia tu hakuachili wewe unajua like salamu zimeisha lakini mtu hakuachili mkono kwa like please leave my hand you don't know like wewe kwako intentionally ulikuwa tunasalimia mtu iishe kumbe anakusalimia anaendelea kuongea akufanyia hivi like fondling with your hand playing with your hand na uko like ebu
In Kenya, most people, wacha niseme young people because that's my age gap of seeing clients. Young people mostly inakuwa it's more of manipulating your way into because hajasema yes, unataka udem, unataka kumhug ama pia unaogopa kurejectiwa. So because unaogopa you're like okay, let me just do this tuone kama atakubali tusonga. So there's so much that in our culture right now people don't want to ask for that consent. And then unapata pia there's that underlying of kuogopa your rejection sana. Unapata pia another area that nimepata ni gray area, sorry to stutter, ni you have probably like AIDS or HIV and you don't want to disclose. Now consent includes informed consent.
yeah
Yes.
Hautaki kumwambia you have this thing within me or I'm married. Wacha tusiongee tu HIV. You're married. Lakini unataka kuingiza mtu box. So una scrap that out and then unajambia let's just delve into.
It's just a small marriage, little marriage.
Kakiuma we'll cross the bridge when we reach there.
Yeah.
So our culture tumezoea hiyo ya wacha tuende ini Nairobi, tuende tukifika mbele tutajua.
Si mtu akifika stage anashuka.
Exactly. And then hiyo thought si yako above 18. Umeshapita 18 unafaa kujiongelelea unaona. So in our culture I could say we don't usually have your culture kuuliza mtu. And then pia there is something I saw that mtu anasikia itapoteza your mood. Like consent is all the way. It's not just hapa. Ati sasa tumesonga like venye tu nilikuwa napeana hiyo example ya dominance. Ameanzia tu poa and then nimefika mahali and you don't want to. Unaona? So someone will say, sasa nitashinda nikimuuliza, can I touch you here? Can I do this? Can I? Ita kill your vibe ya sex. So what do I do? Na yes sasa probably ako high. Sasa unataka ni drop just like that just because you don't want to. So what happens? They go even way beyond having that consent. What does that become? Inakuwa sasa ni rape.
Yes. So, hapo tu nataka ushike tu mali huko. What is the difference between sexual assault and now sexual harassment?
I feel like assault is like the penetration itself, like the forced penetration, without consent, of course. Because we know there are people who are naturally dry, and sometimes when clinically tested, it was forced because there was a struggle to have the penetration. And I feel like harassment is more of everything else that goes around it, but not penetration.
Like,
that is how I understand
spanking
groping,
all that.
Yeah.
So I feel like the penetration bit is what is assault. But again, we have Wazi.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would actually like to know that. Right, guys? Ama pia kama unajua tuambie hashtag ambao unatumia ni space yako the podcast, and across our socials it's wazi.ke.
When it comes to harassment, we're talking about anything that surrounds, that is within the sexual frame, that is actually not penetration. We're talking about yenye umesikia umepita kwa barabara, you've been sexually harassed. And most people don't know that.
Catcalling is harassment.
Yo. Well, them, you know. And then now, unakata, and then wanakutusi.
Aki hiyo size yangu.
Ama yo tunapanda matatu and someone is busy. Huyu anaenda kwa gari yangu amekushika, you know. Or let me give an example. Sometime back I was in a matatu and mimi nimebeba mizigo zangu nimeziweka juu ya lap, yeah? And I'm seated to this near an old man. Amekaa this side, so I'm at the window. Nina tu, you know, minding my own business. Tunaendelea kidogo nasikia mkono imeteremka.
No way.
This person is just touching my thighs. I'm like, what's not happening? So I'm like, that was my first thought.
Yeah,
but I'm like
what's happening?
That sounds like it feels like a hand.
Yeah.
Tunakaka kidogo nasikia mtu amenishika kwa thighs and I'm like, dude. So kwanza nanyamaza because I'm like, okay, now that's the other thing.
Very scary.
Very scary because one.
So unaona kama hapo umenyamaza, maybe he thinks you're enjoying it.
And now,
but
what is even beyond
all.
that is, how do you even handle that situation when you know, like for example, I'm an ambivert, but more of an introvert.
Sorry. What is that again?
Ambivert. I can answer that. An ambivert is actually a mixture of both an extro and an introvert. Yani yetu ako tu zote tu zipo ndani.
Kuna times utanipata
like you're extroverted, sometimes you're introvert.
Kama says once I'm comfortable with people, no, kama venye sasa tuko, I can talk and talk. But as long as I'm not comfortable with you, hata ufanye nini, hata actually ninaweza kakupita tu na nitembee, na si ati niko ubaya, I just don't feel like being engaged in my space. That's my introverted side.
Yeah.
So I know Merlyne is going to update her Instagram bio. Sorry. Continue.
So yeah, I'm an ambivert, but mostly utanipata. As long as I'm not comfortable with you, I'm so introverted.
Yeah.
So now, how do you? In that situation, how do you react as an introvert where haujui kuambia mtu nini unafanya, you know, in your head inakuja but haitoki kwa mdomo, you know, because again it's a public space. You just can't shout. There's someone who's comfortable kusema unanishikaje, unaona, but me in my head exactly in my head I'm thinking so many things that kuna so much thoughts like, what if I shout and no one believes me?
Yeah.
What if I knock him and then anza kuni blame and niambia sijui ni nini? Then kumbuka niko kwa window seat. Now I'm a psychologist. Niko kwa window seat. Naangalia naona hapa kuna escape route. Mimi ndio nimekaa hapa. Si venye naweza shift ni songe nyuma, and it's not a bus, it's a matatu. So as an introvert I'm like, okay. No, sijampea consent. I don't even. That's so disgusting, by the way. But anyway,
what happened now?
When he did that at that time, sasa hapo ndio my extroverted side sasa ndio. Na nikaanza kukos drama. So it was me and me there fighting for my na mtu kunifanya nikae crazy. And I'm not crazy, but you know, that is what happened. So literally when I was talking about all this, hata nimesound nilikuwa wapi, but the point is culture ya Kenya ni kama consent is not a thing. Nimependa kitu naendea. Uko above 18, you can speak yourself out. And if it's embarrassing, I know how to get myself out of that situation. If you don't know, that's your own problem.
Does consent vary according to age?
It does.
Tell us.
Consent, okay, first of all, consent is for anyone who is above 18. Kama uko below 18, you cannot consent. That's assent. You can agree, but then again, just because this child agreed doesn't mean that amekupatia your consent. So literally, if you do anything, you pardon?
You call that assent?
Assent, yeah. The child has assented, amekubali to engage in whatever. And we use it mostly because of the humanitarian sector. We use it kama mtoto amekubali kuchukua picha, amekubali ku engage in an activity, that's why they came up with the term assent. But when it comes to sex, hakuna kitu kama assent. Assent na consent, hakuna, like what's the ati kwanza, you know, this kids of nowadays, sijui wanapewa JMO gani, because they just grow up and they don't look like kids. Ako 17 anakaa ni kama ako ama amepaka hiyo makeup, mkikutana nayo nje venye amevaa, you can tell mtu ni, but anaweza kuwa amesema yes, I'm into this, ako sawa, hiyo si consent. So na haja assent, sexually utaingia into trouble. So once uko above 18 now, you can give consent yenye saa tumekuwa tukiongelea hapa, you can agree to. And again, if this person does not inaitwaje hata tea, if this kama hakubaliani, if this person has not consented, then those are legal grounds to be charged.
I wanted to ask kwa sababu Juliet ametupatia tuseme a personal experience kuhusu ya consent hapo, na hapo consent but alikuwa ameanza kushikwa thighs. Do you people feel like mmekuwa na any kind of experiences kama hizo zenye you'd like to tell us, you share tuone like how you navigated the scenario? Umekuwa na such a situation,
like where someone did something and I did not
si lazima iwe sexual, just anything ambao experience?
Okay, I feel like, and this has really been normalized, but I reacted, I moved from 0 to 100 real quick, especially when it's with a guy, whether I like you or not. And so me and my friend had traveled, and we decided tulikuwa in the rural areas, and we decided to just go somewhere and chill. And then in the middle of it, we were dancing, we're having fun. This guy comes on my back. Okay, whether I was shaking my booty or not, it's mine. Because I really
came from the back to grind you.
To like grab and do all that. And I don't know what happened. The next thing I know, I turned na nikashika mtu mashati. I was like, so he wanted to like like kunipiga. So there was some guy we were with, mwenye alikuwa ametubeba na I think alikuwa ametuleta in that place because we were not really familiar. Ndiye akakuja like in between and was like akamskuma. Like I started thinking of what had happened at that time, but that was one incident that was really disgusting because this guy was looking like how he wanted. Alikuwa anakaa venye anataka, and it didn't have even with anything. I'm just saying that to make fun of it because I really feel disgusted at this moment saying this. But it's like I really felt bad and I felt really disrespected by that. And the reason why I'm saying this is so normalized, ata uku Kenya, it's like, of course, someone under influence, again, we can mention that cannot consent. Like, if you are drugged, if you are, you can't consent. But it's like, and I'd really want you to go into that maybe after Aisha shares her experience. After watu wamelewa, how do we start handling the conversation of alinibeba kwa nyumba yake bila kutaka and all that? But that was my experience and it was really
I would stand Merlyne as my buddy.
Sit to watch. Watch us sit to watch.
How they know? Let me show you all guys how they approach you.
I'm giving her
in the club.
Closer.
Okay. She has consented.
I'm consenting.
Merlyne.
Wait.
And then guys just don't.
That was your experience? Oh my God.
That is they just come here with their crotch like that.
So kila mtu hapa amekuwa ni your experience.
Dance floor.
Is it dance floor?
Club.
Wacha mimi sasa mimi niambia.
See that how
So for me, my experience ilikuwa literally juicy. Tulikuwa na Mr. and Miss UN pale Boma. So hata ilikuwa wimbo ya kutwak. Si mnajua wimbo ya kuna ni kuna hiyo. So I was dancing that song. I love that. Najua hizo moves zote. Kuja mni follow pale TikTok nitawaonyesha. So as I was dancing that nini kind of like dance, there was a guy who approached me. Sasa mimi like simjui ni wa a different faculty ni mtu sijaiona. Sasa cause pia mimi na vibe na ana dance the same style na mimi, si tukaanza kudance pamoja. That is not all. Hapo tulikuwa tu sawa. Then the song changed, ikakuja nyimbo nyingine inemanga zigwembe ya Yesu. So
that's even a gospel track.
Exactly, it's actually a gospel track. Sasa because zigwembe we were bending and you're doing the zigwembe.
Yeah.
Sasa mimi nikibend hapo nafanya zigwembe, I'm expecting pia yeye anafaa ku imitate the person on stage doing the zigwembe. Tell me why this person
moved.
Anakuja nyuma yangu sasa. Anaanza sasa kunishikashika mazigwembe and I was in a very short I was in a short dress and I'm bending there doing zigwembe. Then this akaona wacha sasa nishikie zigwembe zake na akona zake anakuja kushika zangu. At what point did I consent ashike zigwembe zangu? I feel like maybe the non-verbal kind of guidance nilimpatia, you can dance with me kuna because we're dancing
also
together.
maybe the bending
and
smiling.
Lakini hiyo pati ya kunishika nikamwambia wewe na unikome, don't touch me juu unanishika mbona. Nikamwambia expressly juu ana feel like nikikufanyia tu hivi hapana mimi nitakushautia. So nikamwambia wewe don't touch me and dance peke yako. Sasa nishachoka sitaki kudance na wewe tena. So nikamwambia and that was my experience and I feel like a lot of people will face that kwanza in a club scenario, sherehe scenario, mtu anajileta hapo tu nyuma yako always dance, yani you just want to dance alone but mtu amesema wacha nisumbue Aisha leo hauta dance peke yako unatoa
tu. That's so common.
Ndio mimi.
You see, that's why we are talking about that consent culture in Kenya. Like vitu zingine zimekuwa too normal. Ama pia like I've seen several posts on socials vile wanaitwa nani kama gera ndio wale wanajaza mat.
Yeah. Wale wanakaanga
they
take their people and then
yes, how they pull you, like for the women how you know how they just mishandle you. Ama hata ukipita hapa Ngara unaona hizo maduka zinauza manguo hapa. Those guys they pull you hivi. Madam, trouser, dress. As in, it's become very normal.
Yeah.
Why? It's extremely
because me, I think I'm a psychologist, but I'm actually traumatized by matatu people and size conductors.
Na Pangara.
Surely it is wrong. It is wrong.
Yes. I came stupid.
Sijui wa hold forum for madondas na au watu andu this specifically juu au watu tao haikwangi safe with them around. Unaenda hata Matzarongai kidogo tu uko hapo Naivas iko karibu na stage ya Matzaro. Hata uendi Rongai, mimi hata I have no business going to, nimetoka tu Naivas napitia tu nje. Ushavurutwa, ushaingizwa kwa nganya. You're not even going, mtu insist leo lazima utafika Rongai, upende usipende.
But let me ask,
reason?
That is so bad because you see it actually escalates. Have you guys seen this video of this girl? It was viral like recently. Alipitishwa stage ambayo alikuwa anafaa kushuka.
Okay.
Kwa hivyo yani hiyo video inaanza tu ameshukishwa ana huyo was it the driver or the conductor? Akamchapa.
Mbona namchapa?
Because she was like umenipitisha. So unajua vile ukipitishwa mtu unajaa. Like umenipitisha. Like alimchapa bro kama si nini.
Conductor alichapa the passenger ama passenger alichapa.
Huyo conductor alichapa huyo passenger and it was a lady. Alimchapa. If I find that clip I'm going to share it with you so that muelewe the context of it, of the video. Alimchapa bro lakini kuna boys flani alikuwa anapita hapo na nini na Timberland.
Nice.
Yeah, so you see from how they just pull us to get in nini. Sasa unaona vile sasa kwa sababu kuna boundaries. Imagine kama huyo amepitishwa amechapwa. Like what is the reason?
Let me ask Aisha, and I'll start with you because we've all spoken about women experiences because we're all women, and all you, even the example that you're giving is like, it's like we are allowed most of the times we are the one to be asked. Are you getting what I mean?
It's like a woman issue, like it's not a man issue.
It's like I'm the one to say yes or no. Like I'm not allowed to ask, or it's not in our culture to ask. Do you feel like if you are in a relationship with someone, or maybe just friendship, do you ask your male counterparts like una feel to do even una feel? Do you ask sometimes?
I do ask all the time. But see, you guys remember from the episode I told you what? Me may always communicate.
Stop letter pillow.
Yes. This I don't want. Yes. So I feel I always communicate.
Yeah.
But
for me,
do you find it Like, do you find yourself most of the time asking, or you're the one to respond? Because from the examples, it's like we women just respond, react.
It's the guys that are the ones
Like perpetrators
That-
in
yeah.
some sort of sense.
in my situations I ask. However, I feel most of the time ni sisi ndo tunangoja.
Especially because the sisi tunakuwa pursued.
Oh, true.
I pursue.
Especially.
I pursue.
Okay, majority or minority, but most times unapata wanawake hawana, ukiangalia maybe on an average wale machali wenye wamekukatia versus wenye umekatia.
Yeah.
Ukiangalia it's on a large scale inakwanga it's the men who do and then women wanafanya on a very small scale.
Formally
So
it's the
cause ya
opposite.
kuzoea it's opposite. I'm sorry for imposing.
She's like,
so sorry for
like so much
imposing.
courage.
Well, mimi ninakuwa pursued.
Yeah, but again, what we're trying to say is that women should
So
learn
do
to
you?
ask.
Do you? Now that you pursue.
Yeah.
Vitu kwa ground ni a bit different because I'll also say it's not, I don't find myself so many times in the position where I'm like, I have to ask. Because I'm more of, if this guy's doing this thing, if I'm not comfortable, most of the times I'll only consent to a no. Like if I want to say no,
Yeah,
that is when
it's
I'll
not
be
a
like, no. But if it's a yes, which we've read is so bad that you keep silent and you,
Yeah.
so it's like,
Mimi, for me, hey, nitasema nini? Na feel ni kama I have not been a vocal person. Like kwa consent. Kwa hii mambo ingine mdomo nayo napanua sana. But yeah.
na
feel napaka nikipeleka hapa. Niko nakubeba tu hapa in case.
Gladwell anapanua sana.
That's so bad.
Please, basi wacha ni refresh. I am normally the voice for the voiceless in other situations. Sio hiyo mambo ambayo Merlyne anafikiria. What I was trying to say is that kutoka kitambo sikuwa na voice out like consent. Hata mimi nilikuwa tu yule wa if it's a yes and I'm like maybe guiding you, I'm not like expressly saying no. Please proceed. You see, but I happened to actually deal with a person. I dealt with a person kitambo kidogo ambaye alikuwa so vocal about these things. The simplest things. Like ni kitu unajua hugging, I don't know if you're maybe with a person, hugging inakanga ni kama iko tu consented, you get, like you can just hug at any point. So the fact exactly sasa unaona like mtu ni a natural hug ama ni mtu anapenda hugs and cuddles. So you feel like if you're together with that kind of a person, like inakuja tu natural, hakuna haja kushinda kuuliza ati sijui can I but huyo mtu alikonga tu mtu anapenda tu kuuliza si eti nitakataa. I'm like okay, I just like that you asking. So the minute that nilikuwa na that kind of a person ona kila kitu ni kuuliza just to make sure, because haujui in the middle of a scenario mtu anaweza kuwa amebadilisha mind but say anashinda tu amekuuliza like after some time anakuuliza tena is this okay nini. So I was like okay, I am going to borrow this trait from this person. Hata mimi nitaanza tu kuuliza because si kila unajua sometimes hata mimi nasema I am a hugger but kuna siku nakuwa nimeboeka like we are so close but I don't feel like hugging. So unaweza dhani tumekuja kunihug na kuhug tu hivi ama nakupea side hug uko like kwani like what's up with Gladwell today, mbona anani treat ish ways she becoming snobbish, but it's just like maybe nimechoka or I'm just not feeling it, get. So I'm like the fact that I have been with that kind of a person borrow that trait of like asking because consent can change. Tumesema consent pia it's not ati loud ati expressly yes CV, like kuna watu anakupatia hizo nonverbal. So yeah, for me nime learn ku consent na kuiongea kuisema na kuuliza. Yeah.
Pressuring someone, is it consent?
That's the same as coercing.
Ndio?
Yeah. Ndio hiyo tulikuwa nasema unamwambia 1 2 3 4 5 6 bado amesema it's a maybe. It's a no.
You see how my dick is so hard.
You know it's your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault. Kwani utaniacha hivi na blue balls? You're like,
balls zinaua.
And I feel like
I think that pressure thing. I think we have all experienced that pressure thing, right?
Yeah, and on pressure things. do you feel like it's really important for any kind of friendship or relationship to have like safe words?
Yeah.
Do you have safe words? Like which one and to mean what?
Yo.
Maybe I go to.
Yes. Juliet, tuambie.
It's you. Yeah.
Yo, wameneka kwa spotlight. Wacha basi niongee. For me, sitadanganya. Leo sitadanganya mbele ya kamera. Sio tunanga safe words, but na feel like hiyo ni kitu maybe tunaweza anza kuadopt. Juu kwetu tu vitu zina happen tu vile zina happen. Like hatujifikiria about safe words. Tunaishi tu vile tunaishi. But I'm like, that is actually a good like idea hapo unatuambia we should incorporate in our lives. Juu, yeah, it's needed. It is needed.
For some reason, ninaanza feel it's a personality issue.
How?
For some reason. Yeah.
How?
In this sense, there are people who are just vocal and they don't mind saying no. And they don't mind communicating, this is not me. This is something I can do and all that. Now imagine a vocal person akimit a vocal person. They just blend well.
They blend well.
Not chaos.
In terms of safe wording, like in terms of kujiongelelea, nitaongea. Kama sasa, for example, venye amesema, I communicate, you know, she's assertive. And then upate someone who also communicates. That's what I wanted to mean. Mwenye ako vocal, like atakwambia, I don't like this. Then those two, probably, their chances of using even safe words, lakini ukielewa mtu wako, uone mtu, hawezi ongea. Acha labda niambie maybe those are things you can actually ujiambie now that you know about consent uanze kujifunza. Okay, now tukiwa mimi niko na shida ya kusema, niko na sitaki kuenda hapa, can we say red means I'm not okay, so we stop there. Green, we continue. You know, if probably way beyond communicating me to ni ule mtu siongeangi, can we have basi that as an agreement?
So, I love explanation. However, unajua unaongea ni kama it's a long-term relationship. What if Merlyne has a one-night stand? Unaweza kudiscuss safe words sangapi? You're close to me.
Mbona asemi Aisha? Anasema tu Merlyne.
Aya, what if you yourself, Juliet, kama sahi umetoka hapa shoot, umedecide, one night stand.
Yeah.
What utapata time sangapi ya kufanya safe words?
Yeah, ata hai make sense though, for sure. For sure haita apply. And that's why both the person getting into that position na uyo mwingine pia mwenye sasa ndio ana perpetrate, both of them need to know pia kuna your self-responsibility. We can't keep on blaming consent, ati hakuniambia hakunini and all that. Of course, it's not your fault. It's not your fault to be in that position. It's the other person's fault for not being responsible enough to be courteous ama to know that this is a no from this person. But you also need to know you have a self-responsibility of knowing nikikuwa in such a situation sijuangi kujitetea ama this is a compromise situation, so how can I also protect myself? Because like for example, if you have a child hutasema ati I don't want my child to go through things, so nitamfungia kwa nyumba. You need to teach the child venye because utatoka nje hakuna mtu ataka kujua ati even you're a student, so we will treat you like this, what you know. So in the same way ata because we talked about the club thing, ukiwa kwa your club, you know definitely hakuna mi sijui ni club gani, but we pray that tutafika hapo in Kenya. But sijui ni club gani utaenda na everyone is like, you know, I can consent, I'll ask you so that I dance forever. Kila mtu ako na high zake, kila mtu ako na bangi zake, tuseme hivyo. So in the same way, you know, that's not a safe place, that's a risky decision. Do you have a way to bail yourself out? Thank God if you're vocal, utajisema. But if you know you're not vocal, have you developed also for yourself a safe space yenye unajua if this happens, if it goes down like this, I can, for example, kama mi nikijua, it's an example, kama mi najua mi nikalewa kabisa, na nitafika point sijielewi, can I go with that mami kwa friend mwenye najua huyu ana kipingi nini yake, so if in case of anything Kenya atasema hata kama ninachaka atasema no, that way you've protected yourself. Na vitu kama hizo, not only to ladies but also to men. So in as much as we will want to blame consent onto everything, we also have that part of self-responsibility to know I need to protect myself because not everyone out there is woke.
I love it. So consent is such a vast topic, guys, right?
Yeah.
Na tuwezi kumaliza kile kitu leo. However, I feel, Juliet, like kuna vitu ambazo tumeongea, most of the things tumeongea, like if I don't, like in it's majorly on us the girlies. Like unajua usinishike thighs usifanye hivi, but the reverse is also supposed to be applied. Just because you have a mandem emanishi pia you know, you also need his consent. So as women we should also learn that. It doesn't mean that kama unataka pia yeye ati
Lazima kudai.
Si lazima to do. Tunaweza enda home na to chill too. Boo. So boo, check it. We don't have all the time to finish up on you know, consent. On the topic.
It's
but
very wide.
unataka kurudi? Sema raka. Yes.
Wait. Pressure.
It's
It's a quickie.
It's like skiza ni question ya yes or no useme raka.
Unataka niende surely? Unataka niende?
It's a quickie.
Anafanya inaitwa coercion na mimi nafanya
Manipulation. Dish bar.
Yes. So we are so happy that you made time to be here with us, Juliet, and that you had a good time. Okay, we're assuming.
Of course.
Did you have a good time?
Nice. Did you have a good time? It's like Uber drivers out there. Like, unipatie 5-star, madam.
Uko sawa?
Game recognizes game.
Yeah.
So if you know my game, I know your game.
Yeah. We'd like to have
Any
her
game
back here.
gani? Anyway, guys, that's all we had today right here on Space Echo, the podcast. I've been your host, Aisha Wanjiku.
Merlyne
Gladwell. And
Juliet Muthoni!
na hakutuambia rates zake. Bidha mtakita kuja pale kwa ofisi yako hapo hapa hila mahalengam. Rates ni ajama pia wakutafute after
Social.
Kuna physical sessions, kuna online sessions. Ukicall to my secretary will pick the phone atakuambia.
Akona secretary.
Nice. So since it was about consent, do you allow us to end the episode?
I approve.
Juliet,
I don't.
you don't?
Yeah, will you
Merlyne?
force me?
You don't? I attended.